Hey everyone, I'm Rachel. In this tutorial, I'll teach you how to create hyper-realistic, shiny, and luminous hair using the Color Therapy app. If you'd like to follow along, search for this image by searching for hair. For this one, I'm going to do a gray and blue ombre. To make it look extra luminous and shiny, deepen the shadows and brighten the highlights. Alright, so since I want to do a gray and blue ombre, I'm starting off with doing our base color, which will be gray. So let's go to the Shades of Gray palette under Thematics and set it to Gradient. I'm going to be using the 6th color on the top row. And I'm just going to tap to fill in the hair, making the roots darker. Now go over to the blue palette under Shades, and I'm using the 5th color on the top row, and this time it's set to solid. So I'm using the airbrush tool and size 55 and opacity 35. Now with coloring inside the lines mode set to on, I'm gonna add this blue to all of the ends of the hair. And this also includes the bottom of the bangs, just brushing it in. Now let's switch over to the hair tool, set the size at 90 and opacity at 20. So now I want to sample just one of the gray areas of the hair, and I'm just going to be swiping down into all of the hair. So I am basically just adding texture into all the hair. The main thing you want to remember is just to go with the motion of the hair. So if it's curving around, just use your finger to follow the motion of it. I'm just adding it into all of the hair. You can also repeat this by sampling the blue and doing the same thing. And I'm just going to be focusing that blue into the same areas where I added the blue before. So we're just adding in some texture. Now select a basic black and go back to the hair tool. With the hair tool, let's just lower the opacity down to 5%. And now we're going to brush down from the roots into the hair. So starting at the roots and just brushing down. So we're starting to add a bit of shadow. So I'm just brushing down about 1/4 of the way to halfway down. Then I'll also do it at the top of the hair that's overlapping over here. So wherever the hair is inserting underneath the other hair. Starting to add some shadow. Now go to the pale palette, which is under Thematics. And I'm using the 6th color on the top row. Now with the pen tool, set the size between 1 and 2 and the opacity at 85. So what I'm doing now is just drawing in little highlights throughout the hair. I'm mostly focusing on the bottom half of the hair since it's a lighter blue. So these are just little pale, light blue strands of hair just for some highlight. You can clump some of them together. We'll be blending all this later, so it doesn't need to be perfect. And with the smear tool, set the size down to 1 and intensity at 100 and just blend a little bit. So I'm just kind of smearing those highlights up and down at the tips and the bottoms so they kind of blend into the hair. So right now we're just focusing on making it look smooth but luminous. We're going to add lots more layers still. Now let's use the thin fur tool. Set the size and opacity at 30. Using that same color, we're just going to add in more strands. So just layering upon layer of strands. So for now, we're just focusing on the bottom of the hair being lighter blue and the top is going to be darker black. And then the middle is going to be sort of a gray. So it's a nice ombre. So the thin fur tool is a little more gentle than the hair tool. It has a few less strands, I think. Now with the airbrush tool, set the size to 40 and opacity at 30. Now turn coloring inside the lines mode to off, and using both black as well as the blue for the hair, we're gonna add in some shadow. So I'm focusing on the very top where the roots are, and I'm just blending down and making those roots really dark. So some nice shadows coming in. We'll do the same thing underneath the hair, and if you need to turn on coloring inside the lines mode so it doesn't cover up your other hair, you can do that. And then also just add in shadows wherever hair is being overlapped. And since the hair is curling under over here, we're just adding in some more shadows at the very end, at the bottom. Back to the pen tool, size 1, and this time opacity 40. Using those same hair colors, the blues and blacks and grays and all the ones we've sampled, you can just go in and add more strands, and this can be coloring inside the lines mode off. So it's really just layer by layer, and these are just little stray hairs kind of coming off. Now under the gray palette, choose the 6th color on the 2nd row. Raise the pen tool to size 2 and just begin to add in some brighter highlights into the hair. Now these highlights are basically going to go straight across the hair. So you're going vertical strokes, but it's going to go across the bangs and the hair, the top. And then using our blue from before, just do the same thing, but down here in the middle of the lighter area of the hair. We can also make it a little brighter by adding some white into those strands as well. And you can vary the sizes by lowering the pen tool down to size 1 and just continuing to add in highlights. Now select the airbrush tool one more time. Our settings are the same, size 40, and opacity at 30. And using white or a light blue, I'm just gonna brighten up those highlights, kind of just diffuse them a bit so they're nice and shiny, and just going all the way across the hair. This can be coloring inside the lines mode on or off. Switching to blue for the blue areas. You can also go back with more layers and repeat the steps as needed to create more realism. If you'd like to see more tutorials like this, don't forget to subscribe to the Color Therapy YouTube channel so you don't miss any new tutorial videos. Thanks for watching our tutorial. You can get the Color Therapy app for free on the App Store.